The following is a presentation of Flow Sports.
Racing the way it's meant to be all season long. 2 divisions, nearly 3,000 laps of the closest, toughest short track racing you'll see anywhere. Every pass, every fender rub, every bump and run, every emotion. Winners race here and stars are born here. This is pure stock car racing. It's the Z-Max Cars Tour, and it's next right here on FloRacing.
It is always special to see racing here in Wilkes County, and we are back once again for the Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear. The pros and late model stocks ready to do battle in the Spears Manufacturing 75 and the Skyline National Bank 100, part of NASCAR weekend here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. So glad you could be joining us on a beautiful and hot Friday evening here from North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. I'm Blake McCandless, joined this evening by the Hall of Famer Dale Earnhardt Jr. We got Eric Brennan along here as well. And guys, every time we come to North Wilkesboro Speedway, I think it's special that we just get to see cars on the racetrack, but particularly with this series, and it being an integral part of this and playing a role in this Speedway's return, there's just a feeling and a vibe here that we don't get anywhere else.
Yeah, it does feel like the Cars Tour has had a big role in bringing North Wilkesboro back, and it does a lot for these teams that this weekend is combined with the NASCAR truck and the Cup Series that's going to run here tomorrow and Sunday. So there's a lot of energy, a lot of excitement. All the drivers, the teams, they want to go out there and perform on such a big stage.
And Dale, one of the things that I love is whether it was the revival in 22, the Cars Tour's return with all the Cup stars in 23, now the first points-paying race for the Cup Series in 3 decades, the energy around the racetrack between the town and some of the residents, it just keeps getting cranked up more and more. They have certainly wrapped their arms around the return of this place, and it's great to be a part of it.
Yeah, it sure is. I think that, there's just a lot of great energy, a lot of great momentum. I've always felt like that this place wasn't all the way back until we got that Sunday Cup points race, and that happens this weekend, and there's a ton of folks that are excited about that here in the county.
A lot of folks out in the grandstands that are excited, but I think a lot of drivers that are excited, many of which will be competing in multiple events throughout the course of the next couple of days. As you see, those are the pros and late model stocks that have been parked on pit road since they wrapped up their qualifying yesterday. Again, a little bit of a difference in procedure here as far as this weekend. So we wrapped up qualifying. We were just looking forward to 75 laps in the pros and 100 laps in the late model stocks here coming up in just a little bit. But guys, big storylines coming into this weekend for the Cars Tour, and perhaps none more important than the ownership group expansion that was announced earlier this week. Speedway Motorsports announcing that it has jumped on board as a part of the Cars Tour ownership group, along with Dale, with Kevin Harvick, Jeff Burton, and Justin Marks. So really exciting to see this partnership, Dale.
Yeah, Marcus has been a great friend of the series with his involvement in Z-Max, and they have sponsored the series for a few years now. He's seen what we're doing. You got to remember, too, that Marcus Smith and his family are heavily involved in the Legends Car Series, or Legends Cars in general. They're made and sold all over the world, and it's important, I think, for all of us to understand that pathway for that young driver that wants to make it to the Cup level, become a NASCAR champion, trying to go through the Legends cars and earning their craft and honing their craft in the Cars Tour as well. So it's a great way to kind of bridge the two together and make that pathway a little more simpler for our future racers.
And again, we'll continue to learn more about that as the night goes along. But Eric, one of the points we hit on at the top of this show, look at the star power that we have. Many Cars Tour drivers of the past coming back to play. And oh, by the way, how about a Cup Series star, Chase Elliott, that'll be joining us here tonight as well.
And this is just some notables, some of which are going to compete in the Truck Series race here tomorrow afternoon. Others going to compete Sunday night in that Cup Series event. But there's more star power beyond just the names you see on your screen. We'll touch on all those stories. But this weekend is just packed with a punch of power in terms of some of the best drivers in the country. And they're going to try to see what they got up against our Cars Tour stars.
Yeah, you got to think about the regulars and how excited they get when a Chase Elliott or a Corey Heim Caden comes back and races with the Cars Tour. They get up for that. They want to show them how competitive this series is. And you can see, as you'll see later in the qualifying order, some of these guys have found it to be quite competitive and challenging.
Yeah, it is. Corey Heim, again, I believe he's starting in top 5 in both races. We'll see if he can make his way forward. Caden Honeycutt sitting on the pole for the late model stock car race. So well represented here with several drivers that, again, that are making a return here to the Cars Tour in competition. But also, in terms of this series, a lot of drivers doing a little bit of both here in the late model stocks and pros, including some drivers that haven't really been known for doing that. Minnie Tyrell jumping in a pro for the first time.
Yeah, you got Max Reeves as well. He doesn't race with the Cars Tours often. It's awesome. I think the Wilkesboro weekend presents that opportunity to get some of these drivers to come experience the Cars Tour for the first time. Connor Jones, he races quite regularly in both series, Trayton as well. It's going to be pretty exciting to see how well these guys can do. Think about the temperature too as well. We got to look at the weather today. When you look at these names, it is extremely hot out there, very uncomfortable. It's going to be miserable inside those cars, and these guys are going to be put to the test trying to run both events.
And again, that's 95 degrees. The feel like is 107, but I don't know where that was measured, because if you measured it down in the infield where it's paved, I bet that feels a little bit hotter right now. But you make up a great point, is that not only is this difficult, but this is one of the more physically demanding racetracks because they're carrying so much speed and load in these corners. This is a tough one to tackle. And Eric, we saw that in qualifying yesterday.
Yeah, it was just about as warm yesterday. So as we kicked off qualifying right around this time, a little bit, maybe about an hour later in the afternoon, we saw just how slick, especially 1 and 2 was. And for the first time, Blake, since we've returned here, 3 and 4 ended up being one of the trouble spots, especially getting off into turn number 3. And I think that trend's going to continue on. As we look at our schedule for tonight, driver intros coming up at 5:20 Eastern. We'll lead in the pre-race ceremonies, 10 minutes at the top of the hour. The pro late models going green for the Spears Manufacturing 75. And then approximately 7 o'clock Eastern, the Skyline National Bank 100 for the headliner, the late model stock cars.
It's going to be fun as well. A lot going on up here at the broadcast booth, a lot going on trackside in the pit lane as we welcome the 4th member of our broadcast crew tonight, James Pike. What's going on down there?
Blake, Eric, Dale, you are right. It is incredibly warm and hot down here. But so is the battle for the FloRacing Fieldmaster Award. Now, if you're not familiar with this award, this is not a hard charger award. This is not a measure of how many cars do you pass relative to where you start. This is just how many cars do you pass in general over the course of the season. If we start by looking at the late model stock car battle, what a top 5 setup. We've got Trayton Lapsevich has passed 148 cars, and it's not all that much different between Hettinger Racing's Chase Burrow, Carroll Speed Shop's Landon Huffman, Matt Piercy Racing's Aiden King, all of them within 7 cars of one another. And then Brandon Pierce, Chase Hale, Parker Eatman and company filling in the rest of the top 10. If we go down to the pro late model standings in the Fieldmaster, Dylan Garner, the defending champion of the Fieldmaster Award in the pro late models, he's right back where he left off last year, ahead by 9 spots over Rodney Dallas Jr., running a Rackley War Machine. Connor Jones, Chase Burgesson in the mix as well in the 40s before you get to Colton Hale and Monahan. We should see some movement over the course of the afternoon and evening. This is a place where you've got room to get around people, especially if you have a fast race car. And once we get going, this is a place that usually trends towards some long green flag runs. So the best of the best should rise to the top, and it could be a big moving day for those who are interested in the FloRacing Fieldmaster Award at the end of the year.
The big race to definitely make up some points in that battle that goes all the way to the end of the year, and a lot of initiatives, including the Floatium program that will also be taking place here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. But again, let's take a look at this racetrack. And again, we know the facts that this it broke ground in 1948, that it was paved a little bit later on and became an asphalt oval. But the one thing, Dale, I think that is so different about this racetrack is that we can take about 7 or 8 months off, and it almost feels like a new racetrack every time we come here in terms of the grip level changing over time, over a small period of time at that.
You can see the shade of the asphalt itself changing, graying out and starting to age a little bit, and you can start to see the groove of the racetrack a little more clearly. Also, one of the things interesting about North Wilkesboro is they race downhill into turn 1 and uphill into turn 3, and that makes both corners completely different. We've seen, as you said earlier, we have a lot of issues getting down into turn 1 because you're carrying so much more speed into that corner going down the hill, and the balance of the car tends to be on the loose side as the back's trying to swing by and pass you going into the corner. So just a really challenging track. How do you fix the car if it's doing something good down here and not so good on the other end of the racetrack? anytime you make an adjustment, it's going to affect each end differently.
Yeah, and again, I love one of the great things I love listening to at North Wilkesboro, whether it was the late models that we had last night or even truck practice and qualifying that was going on a little bit earlier. So those cars getting in the chip down into turn number 1 because, again, they're trying to set up to be able to get through the back straightaway that you see right there that's going uphill off of turn number 2. But looking at the Pro Late models, again, it's been a little bit of time, nearly a month and a half or so since we've seen these guys back in contention here. And close points battle. We see Caden Honeycutt right now, Virtue with 2 wins. He's 18 points behind Mason Walters, running in the Setzer Racing and Development Camp. But it's been all Caden Honeycutt as of recently on a winning streak now, and has the ability to try and extend that here tonight.
Yeah, I don't know where he has the time to do all these different races, but he really, really enjoys being a part of the Cars Tour. And then you got Trayton Lapsovich right there, having a strong season as well. A lot of big names on this list. Connor Jones, Case James, a newcomer to the series over the last year. Carson Ware, just a really, really stout lineup there in the top 10, and it's still anyone's race, I think, on back into the backside of the top 10.
Again, look, 3rd through 9th. That's 10 points that separates that gap, and with about half the season remaining, everything is up for grabs in the Pro Late models. Again, what can make this race bigger than this being a part of the Floatium program? Again, for both the pros and the late model stocks, for the team that's able to finish the best out of just these 5 in the pros, $10,000 on the line. That's a pretty neat program. It's the 2nd time that it's been a pro late model Floatium race.
Yeah, absolutely. The pros have been waiting on their opportunity to go up and get this $10,000. This happens every 3 events in both classes. Up to 6 teams can race for that $10,000. If you finish in the top 3 any given week, that advances you into the next opportunity to race for this 10K. So big deal for the pros tonight.
Big deal for the pros, but it is a double Floatium race. Also for the late model stocks, it is going to be a part of it as well. And we mentioned qualifying yesterday, and Eric, this is one of the great things that we saw throughout the course of the day, and it's become a theme whenever we come to North Wilkesboro Speedway. Qualifying so important because of track position, but also it is a handful for these drivers. This was Colton Ingerick, who had a big hit in the wall into turn 1 last night.
Yeah, it looks like something broke on the right front suspension. Just easy to get into trouble there, going so fast, a lot of load on the car. And 54 car goes out there and puts a great lap down. Caden Honeycutt would eventually qualify 5th for tonight's event.
Our most recent winner on the Pro Late models did so back at Ace. Another one of our double duty drivers who are going to be racing more events on the weekend. Corey Heim in a 3rd. Bryson Lopez prepared operation. The number 78 clocked in 4th fastest in the Pro Late model session.
And the number 7 of TJ DeCare would end up putting down the 3rd best lap around this tricky racetrack.
Yeah, he's somebody that's been awfully close in the past to being able to ride the elevator as a young driver. And that's one thing that is on every driver's mind, to be able to do that. It's a moment that defines, for some of them, their racing careers. So, touched on this earlier, points leader Mason Walters, really solid qualifying lap that he had, looked really smooth. He'll start on the outside of the front row. We know how important that is here at North Wilkesboro tonight. And Luke Baldwin running a lot of laps here at North Wilkesboro Speedway over the course of the weekend. He was able to celebrate an owner's championship last year with Rick Ware Racing in the number 51. That's his 2nd lap that he bailed out of, because his 1st lap, he knew it was that good.
Yeah, pretty, I don't know whether to be surprised or not by Luke. Him and his brother Jack both in the field tonight. Both of them show speed and potential. Really impressive to see him go out there and put it on top of the board. Tough to do against this field.
Now on the late model stock side of things, here's what the championship picture looks like coming into North Wilkesboro. 2-time winner on the season, Caden Quappo, with a 23-point advantage over Trayton Lapsovich, who's trying to see if he could sew up titles in both classes in 2026, with the Wake County winner, Connor Jones, getting you through your top 3.
Yeah, Caden qualifying 24th. It's going to be a tough race for him to go up there and try to grab the points. And his qualifying's been off all year long, and it's presenting opportunity for those Connor Jones, Trayton Lapsoviches, Carson Brown, all of those guys to try to close the gap and make this a race.
Well, again, and if you're looking at that middle portion of the standings, if you're a Chase Burrow, a Parker Eatman, a Chad McCumbee, this is the chance that you have to start to make up that gap. 50 points, that's a little more than a race's worth of points. So you have a little less than half the season to go. It is possible, but these are the type of races where you really have to start locking in and getting those points that are available. Again, we did hand out some points yesterday. You get 2 for winning the Heatwave Visual Pole Award, 1 point point for starting in the second position. So a couple drivers able to get some going into this weekend. But important, if you're going to try to do that, you have to start executing right now.
And one final nugget there, you see Doug Barnes Jr. 10th. He was entered on the weekend. However, he feels some of the after effects of a testing crash. He's going to take this week off and the Hampton Heat next week. We wish Doug all the best and hope he's watching along with us.
Incredibly smart decision by Doug, and we wish him the best. And can't wait for him to be back holding checkered flags in the future.
Now, on the late model stock floatium side, these are the drivers vying for the $10,000 bonus in tonight's 100-lapper. That's a potent group of cars.
It is. How about Corey Heim? Again, that's a 12 Nelson Motorsports car. Connor Hall ran his own car at Langley. He won that race. That makes this 12 car eligible with Corey Heim behind the wheel here for the late model stock car side in the floatium program.
Yeah, that's one of the unique things about the floatium program is it's kind of more geared toward the ownership. So if the car itself goes out there and advances itself into the floatium, the owner can bring that car into the next event to go race for that money, regardless of the driver behind the wheel. And yes, that's a tight one. That's a really, really tough group. You know that lead pulliam performance, number 03, with Brandon Queen is going to want to come in here and stink the show up tonight. Yeah. He wants to win the race. He's performed here really, really well over the past several years that they've raced here, so they could have a big night with a win and the floatium together.
Manny Tyrell, can't forget about him. He's been really fast at a lot of these high-grip racetracks. And then how about Parker Eatman? Again, he nearly won the race that you competed in at the Nashville Fairgrounds a couple of months ago. He really likes these high-speed places as well, and has a good starting spot in his number 4 Matt Piercy racing machine to try and do that. Well, again, driver introductions coming up here from North Wilkesboro Speedway. We'll introduce you to the starting field for drivers in the Spear Manufacturing 100 and the Skyline National Bank 100. We'll be back with the ZMAX Cars Tour on FloRacing.
Want an easy way to help take care of your vehicle? ZMAX Micro Lubricant. ZMAX Micro Lubricant is a DIY solution that pours into your fuel and oil. ZMAX proprietary molecules are uniquely small, so they literally soak into the metal, dispersing harmful carbon deposits. This improves horsepower, extends engine life, and reduces emissions. ZMAX is good for your car, your wallet, and the environment. Can be used in new or used vehicles. Available at zmax.com or your local auto parts store.
Lessen the noise of the track, not the rush of the race. With Sound Gear, hearing protection solutions that lap the competition. Perfect for racers, crew, fans, or anyone who works or plays in loud places. Sound Gear, official hearing protection sponsor of ZMAX Cars Tour. Sound Gear, ready for anywhere sound is a problem.
Hendrick. It's the perfect time to find an affordable vehicle. Visit HendrickCars.com and shop our large selection, including over 1,000 vehicles priced under 20 grand. Plus, drive today but pay later with our payment deferral and 0 down options. Buy from the name you know and trust. Hendrick has received over 650,000 5-star online reviews. Over 1,000 vehicles under 20 grand. Find yours at HendrickCars.com.
This isn't just a normal race.
It's grueling, it's hot, it takes everything to win.
There are no guarantees,
no second chances.
Nothing out here will test you more than this race.
The fire, the flames, the heat.
When the checkered flag falls, only one of us will be happy. Give everything, leave nothing. I want to win this race more than anyone else.
It just means more. This is America's hottest race.
This is the Hampton Heat.
Back with you here at North Wilkesboro Speedway, the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear, ready to go for 75 laps in the pros, 100 laps in the late model stock cars for our double aught lawyers, injury lawyers, driver introductions coming up just on the other side of this break. Again, Molly Motorsport and Heatwave Visual Pole Award qualifying taking place throughout the late evening yesterday. And just the race to look forward to here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Again, a little bit different logistics that go into this weekend with the fact that you have the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series garage, you have the Cup Series garage that's in the infield right now. So these drivers right now, you can see the cars becoming uncovered, but they sat here all night long without anybody touching them.
Yeah, that's unusual for a race weekend for our series, or any series really. We practiced all day yesterday and then qualified in the evening. Those cars went into the impound, and now the teams are able to get to them and get them prepared for the race. And you know, you just have to, there's a bit of a gentleman's agreement that everybody's going to abide by the rules in the unique situation. There's a lot of grace that's given and expected amongst our competitors, owners, just to be here, just to be a part of this weekend. And so it doesn't, you know, the processes, the scheduling, all that isn't what we're used to, but we make do, and we're blessed with some really incredible weather. I know it's really, really hot, but we'd love to have that over any kind of, you know, any kind of weather in the area. So it's going to be fun to see these drivers really get put to the test.
And I got to say, too, before we get our driver introductions off, I know Carson Elledge and the team here at the Cars Tour had kind of been talking about this new float that we have for the double aught injury lawyers driver introductions, and my goodness, that thing, I mean, it's about this, it's bigger than some of the trucks that are pulling these haulers that are out here today. So man, they did a great job with this promotion, and I feel bad for some of those folks that got to set this up. It takes a little bit of time to be able to, I mean, look at that thing, it's humongous.
Yeah, we have a very proud group that works in with our staff at the Cars Tour, but we run lean. We run really lean, and it's a lot of hard work for those folks to move things around and put on a show like we do every single week. Carson and everybody work really, really hard, but it's a pretty unique little float there.
Again, trying to wrangle some drivers in here, but I think James Pike is standing by with somebody who knows what it's like to not only ride the elevator here, but win a championship. He's standing by with James Pike.
Brendan Queen has a pretty storied history in Cars Tour competition at Wilkesboro. Been a little bit since he's been a regular here, but you were fast in practice yesterday. What's changed since you've been a regular here? What did you notice yesterday that's different?
It's definitely, you know, tough with that ST3 tire, man. It's just you run a lap or two, and then you're just holding on and trying not to, you know, like I'm sure in the race you'll be trying not to hit the guy on the outside of you type of stuff. So, really fast car. Lee Pulliam brought a fast Dodge Cummins bestrepair.net on board, and you know it's always good to be in one of his cars and be top of the board in practice. Went out for Q and just lack of grip out of nowhere there. I think the track had just got really hot, and you know, tried to do the best we could. Got a decent starting spot. I know it's gonna be tough to win it from third, just not being on the front row and how big track position is, but. In an LPP car, you never count out a shot to win, and I think we'll have a shot. We just got to be smart and be in the right line at the right time, have a little luck, and I don't see why we can't ride the elevator again.
Hoping to lean into his experience to ride the elevator one more time at Wilkesboro.
And, you know, that was something that kind of, I would say, translated pretty well yesterday when we got to qualifying. Was that experience and the fact that we saw a lot of drivers who have run well, not only in this series, Eric, but those drivers in the past that have had some success here at North Wilkesboro Speedway, drivers that have won poles, that have won races. It is quite something to see that those drivers were once again the ones who had quite a bit of success when it came to qualifying yesterday. And I think once we get to the race, again, we've heard how important track position is time and time again at this racetrack, and I think it's something that will continue here at North Wilkesboro Speedway tonight. But again, just moments away from trying to roll these drivers and introduce them to a great crowd. Again, really nice crowd. There was a really good turnout, I would say, earlier for NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series qualifying, practice and qualifying that they had earlier out here today, and a lot of them turned out in a really big way to support these folks. As I believe James is standing by with another driver before we introduce them here.
Another driver who has ridden the elevator, the defending winner of the Cup Series weekend race at Wilkesboro, albeit in May instead of July, but Landon Lewis for Kevin Harvick Inc. Landon, you're also doing double duty with the trucks. How have you noticed this track change between truck practice and qualifying and what you ran yesterday?
Yeah, it definitely has changed a lot throughout truck practice for sure. Track tightened up quite a bit. So just curious to see what it does for the late model race, but overall just proud of the car we brought again here. Had a good lap going in qualifying and just made a mistake in turn 3 and still salvaged the 6th place. So looking forward to the race. I feel like we have a good race car and it's in really good race trim. So we'll see. Hopefully we can be a little bit better than we were the last race here. But again, 6th place out of a 30-something car field. I think that's a pretty good day so far.
And he did not necessarily have the best qualifying lap, like he said, but if he can still put it right on the edge of the top 5, watch out. Landon Lewis may be back riding the elevator at Wilkesboro.
And, you know, big story and big weekend for Landon as far as what happened last week with the runner-up finish in the Truck Series race. But I think one of the bigger stories to come out of that success, he was within striking distance of Grant Enfinger late in that one and elected that was not how he wanted to win his first race. He was dead set on that, and I think that he earned a lot of credit from all his competitors as far as the remainder of his racing slate for 2026. So it is now time to introduce you to our starting grid for tonight's running of the Spears 75 with the Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear in the Pro Late Models. Driver that was slated to start in 31st spot, but unfortunately was involved in a hard crash yesterday in practice, the 2NY of Colton Ingerick. Pro North Kissing out of Dawsonville, Jordan in second spot tonight. He's coming up around the bend. We'll be back to North Wilkesboro and the Z-Max Cars Tour on Flow right after this.
Want an easy way to help take care of your vehicle? Z-Max Micro Lubricant. Z-Max Micro Lubricant is a DIY solution that pours into your fuel and oil. Z-Max proprietary molecules are uniquely small, so they literally soak into the metal, dispersing harmful carbon deposits. This improves horsepower, extends engine life, and reduces emissions. Z-Max is good for your car, your wallet, and the environment. Can be used in new or used vehicles. Available at zmax.com or your local auto parts store.
Hendrick. It's the perfect time to find an affordable vehicle. Visit HendrickCars.com and shop our large selection, including over 1,000 vehicles priced under 20 grand. Plus, drive today but pay later with our payment deferral and zero down options. Buy from the name you know and trust. Hendrick has received over 650,000 five-star online reviews. Over 1,000 vehicles under 20 grand. Find yours at HendrickCars.com.
This isn't just a normal race.
It's grueling, it's hot, it takes everything to win.
There are no guarantees.
No second chances.
Nothing out here will test you more than this race.
The fire, the flames, the heat.
When the checkered flag falls, only one of us will be happy. Give everything, leave nothing. I want to win this race more than anyone else.
It just means more. This is America's hottest race.
This is the Hampton Heat.
Welcome back to coverage of the ZMAX Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear live on FloRacing from North Wilkesboro Speedway in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Race fans, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as you are able, and veterans, please render a hand salute as the veterans of foreign wars present our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Cars Tour Series Chaplain Joe Lewis delivers this afternoon's invocation.
Let's focus on the Lord. Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for the many blessings we have in this country. And Lord, we pray for the group that got this together and made this track come back to life. Father, we praise you and thank you for it. Now we pray, Lord, that you would meet with our country. Lord, I pray that each one of us would start not just talking about God, but praying to God. In Jesus' name, amen.
And now, to honor America with our national anthem, please welcome Heather Cooper.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets ran bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner oh, the land of the free and the home of the
This crowd is certainly energized and ready to go racing. The drivers will begin to strap into their cars as the fans begin to file in from the fan zone, knowing that we are inching closer to race time. Kicking it off with the Spears 75 for the Pro Late Models, the fifth race of 2026 with a ZMAX Car Store presented by Sound Gear. As the drivers strap into the cockpits of their race cars, we'll step aside. Find the best seat in the house that you can and strap in because we're about to go Car Tour Racing from North Wilkesboro next. Almost time to fire the engines in one of the most anticipated races on the 2026 Z-Max Cars Tour season, presented by Sound Gear. The Spear 75 of the Pro Late models here at North Wilkesboro Speedway as the fans continue to file in to this historic facility for what's going to be the 6th Cars Tour Pro Late model race and the 7th for late model stock cars. Now, some big storylines we've been following. We've been talking about the temperature, Dale. It is hot, and it's been hot, and we've been hearing a lot of drivers talk about they don't know how much grip this thing is going to have when they go racing, and with the setting sun behind them, it could change.
Absolutely, yeah, it's going to be tough inside the cars. These cars are notoriously pretty hot as it as the temperatures rise around the brakes and everything, the engine compartment and everything. They don't have a lot of the insulation that you might have at the higher levels, so they're going to be uncomfortable. So these drivers are going to race also in the second race tonight in the late model stock cars, so doing double duty will be really tough. But as you mentioned, this racetrack is changing, not only aging, losing grip over the course of the years since the new repave, but also as we go into the cooler temperatures in the night, the track will cool down, improve grip. Passing is already difficult here because of the higher groove that you run in 1 and 2. Makes it a little bit difficult to get that run up off the bottom you need to be able to make the pass. That's just going to get even tougher to do as the track grip increases.
And I think one unique thing that's going to be a challenge for the pro lates that even the late model stock cars aren't going to have to deal with is think back to last year. We had the Cup Series cars on the track. They laid down all that rubber. Then we came on the racetrack, and there was a big handling change that a lot of drivers were surprised by going into 1 and 2. And we had the trucks out here earlier practicing qualifying, so a different tire laying rubber down on this racetrack. So that's one thing that late model stock cars aren't going to so much have to worry about, but especially with these pros, what kind of racetrack do they find when they go down into 1 and 2 when you're going full speed at the fastest point that you're going here at North Wilkesboro Speedway?
Just one more thing for these drivers to have to worry about. So let's see how it's going to go. Let's go trackside to get the command.
Race fans, it is time. For the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome the HVAC manager from MEP Home Services, Timmy Colgan.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
And that's the sound of 30 Cars Tour Pro Late models coming to life for what is certainly one of the most daunting tasks that they will face all year long, and that is tackling this unique venue in front of an incredible and electric crowd environment as we get set to roll them off for the 6th time here in series history. Let's take a look at some fast facts in terms of the Pro Late models here. How about Caden Honeycutt? He is going for his 3rd win at North Wilkesboro Speedway. For a driver to win their 3rd race across any series at this racetrack, you have to go back to 2011 when Junior Miller did it in a Tour-type modified. This racetrack, 5/8 of a mile, but the elevation change is one of the biggest talking points, Dale. This track is in no means symmetrical.
Absolutely, yeah. Downhill into turn 1, the car is going to be very loose and hard to drive off into that corner, carrying a lot more speed down into turn 1 than you do up the hill down the back straightaway into turn 3. So just it's a really bit of a challenging racetrack, and trying to know where to run in terms of groove. It's going to widen out. Will your car work at the top of the racetrack? We don't know. And also the margin of victory there, 1 second in every Cars Tour Pro Late Model race here at North Wilkesboro. These cars are fast around this racetrack. There's a lot of on throttle. They use a lot of fuel. That also lends to the changing balance of the cars. You're burning all the fuel off of that fuel cell. This car getting more and more nose weight throughout the race.
And one thing we've seen here, Eric, whether it's here in the Cars Tour or even some of the Smart Modified races that we've done here, is that these engines that these cars have, they are pushed to the brink here because they are so wide open around this racetrack, especially here in the pros. And thinking about what the opportunity that Caden Honeycutt has, we threw his stats up there. 2 wins at this racetrack. He has 7 all-time in this series. He has the opportunity to become the all-time wins leader here in the Pro Late models if he is able to climb the elevator for the 3rd time tonight.
Yeah, he's someone who certainly loves racking them up. The last time he raced double duty in the Cars Tour, he won both races, then went on to win the ARCA and Truck Series events at Watkins Glen later on that weekend. He's going to try for a triple threat sweep this weekend with both the Cars Tour and the trucks tomorrow. So now the field begins to roll off on their parade and pace laps. Honeycutt stopping at the pit area, perhaps to just adjust his steering wheel before he rolls back off. And he will assume his spot up in the top 5 for the Pro Late Models. Let's take a look at our starting grid. 30 cars strong for the pros. And on the pole, Luke Baldwin, who's finished runner-up here before, and the points leader, Mason Walters. TJ DeCare and Corey Heim, row 2.
There you see Caden Honeycutt and Case James. Connor Jones, Albert Francis making out row 3 and 4.
Seth Christensen and Evan McKnight again. We'll see if McKnight can drive through the field. Setzer Racing and Development, they've done that another time. Rodney Dallas Jr. and then Keelan Harvick. He had a tough qualifying go of it. He got really loose out of 2, and we'll see if he can rebound from a 12th position to win a second consecutive race here at North Wilkesboro.
Back on row number 7, Carson Ware and Trayton Lapsevich, another double-duty driver in that Rhett Jones Racing number 30. Chase Elliott, he decided if I'm running the late model stock, I'll bring my pro car too. He's going to start inside of row 8 in car number 9. Alongside a car store Pro Late Model veteran Dylan Garner.
Yeah, Brody Monahan back there in row 9 in the number 31, as well as Dylan Capello, who's ran tons of races with us here. And Gio Rogerio, one of the up-and-coming drivers climbing the ranks, and Brandon Lopez also in row 10.
Lopez, a longtime competitor in the Pro Lates, also doing double duty. Casey Klein also running in the Truck Series race. London McKenzie, a little bit of work to do for him. Again, Jack Baldwin's got to do a lot of work to catch his brother that's on the front row starting in P1. James Seawright makes out your 24th starting position.
And we see our last batch of starters, including Holden Halder and Mike Scorzelli making his debut. Minnie Tyrell, his first ever car store Pro Late Model start alongside of TJ Duke, who is back. And then we got Brandon Barhefka and Joe Maruka out of Pennsylvania, rounding out our 30-car starting grid. Colton Ingrich was the 31st car entered in the field. If you weren't with us earlier, he suffered a hard crash in qualifying. Colton was okay, but he was in no way in any shape to get that car repaired to make it up for the race. And a couple of cars coming to the pit lane early. One of them is London McKenzie. The other one is the 5 of James Seawright, who evidently needed some adjustments. You see the 5 there going to the attention of his crew.
Yeah, they're going to jack up the right side of the car. Looks like they kind of have an idea what the issue may be. Going to make a quick repair here.
Seawright was slated to start in 24th spot. London McKenzie also coming down. He was going to start 22nd, and we'll see based on what they had to do if they're going to have to drop to the tail of the field before this race gets underway.
And again, these cars, they sat overnight covered inside the racetrack. It's a little bit different because the fact they had to move the Cars Tour haulers that both had the pros and the late model stock in the garage areas were now the Cup Series and the Craftsman Truck Series occupied. So these cars, they sat all night. So whatever adjustments they had to do, they were going to have to do or find after they got here this afternoon, which is a little bit later than when they typically do.
One of the things I'm looking forward to in this race and also in the late model stock race later tonight is this turn 1 and 2. In the late model stocks and the pros in the years past, we've seen that groove move all the way to the fence as the race goes on. Will that continue tonight? Will the middle or the bottom be a potential place for you to go make a pass? Is it, it's going to be a top dominant racetrack down in 1 and 2, and how will 3 and 4 open up?
Yeah.
A lot of the NASCAR guys think in the truck race and the Cup race on Sunday that's going to it's going to become a wide racetrack. So it'll be interesting to see what happens tonight.
And we see a choice already being made by the pole sitter. Luke Baldwin elects the top in the 47 car. Points leader Mason Walters in the 6 on the bottom. Glad you're with us on FloRacing. Time to kick off the Spears 75 for the Pro Late Models at North Wilkesboro. Wrapping up our sound gear sound check live, and the points leader Mason Walters makes the bottom work in 3 and 4 to take the lead from Luke Baldwin, who's trying to get it back off 2.
3 wide for 3rd place. Down the back straightaway, Honeycutt on the inside. Heim on the top of the racetrack.
Are they going to go 3 wide again off of turn 3? It looks like they might, and I can't believe Honeycutt, he went to the bottom groove in 1 and 2. We haven't seen that groove come in very recently here at this racetrack, and yet he was able to make a pass there. And how about the restart? Again, Baldwin had lane choice. He took the top. Walters took the lead on the bottom. Now he loses it and is trying to get it back as they're nearly touching each other for 3rd.
And the battle for the lead is back on again in turn 1. That's Walters in the 6 to the bottom of Baldwin. Honeycutt behind him in the 54 to 3rd. What great racing early in the going here for the pros.
Side by side for the lead. Honeycutt sits back there behind in 3rd. He has a decision to make on which line to take, which car to follow. Where does he think the speed is? He rolls around the bottom. Gets a good bite off of turn 2 here. 3 wide down the back straightaway. Think second of it.
Yeah, I think Honeycutt knows this is a long race. It's only lap 5 of 75, trying to make some moves. Oh, contact into the wall is Luke Baldwin trying to fend off Mason Walters, and here comes Honeycutt almost making contact with Walters as we are seeing a ton of cars running the bottom in 1 and 2 early.
High ran really, really high up against the wall in turn 1 and 2. Tons of momentum. Closes the gap on the top 3 here.
As they come to the line, Walters by half a car length. Many of the fans on the front stretch still on their feet as we're going to get 3 wide for the lead off turn 2, maybe.
They get more and more confidence. They understand the grip as we run more and more laps. Baldwin starting to sharpen up that outside line, making this pass on the bottom more and more difficult. More contact right there.
And again, that's where Walters, that bump that's off the exit of turn 4 gets really hard. And again, Baldwin, we didn't think that high lane or that middle groove would come in 3 and 4, but right now it's been really strong.
It's bottled up everybody behind them there. They're all trying to figure this out.
Honeycutt now gets moved off the bottom. The 7 car, TJ Zacare outside of Corey Heim in the turn 1. And Connor Jones in that white 44. He seems glued to the bottom in 1 and 2 as Honeycutt can't get the drive off with Walters protecting second.
Heim and Honeycutt are going at it, man. And if you think about Michigan and the back and forth that these 2 drivers have had in the Craftsman Truck Series, it's carrying on over. And by the way, they had a lot of track time this afternoon. Nobody else in this field had track time unless they were in truck practice and qualifying. So those drivers taking advantage of it right now.
You're already seeing how difficult that pass on the bottom is to make. You can get underneath the car, you can get alongside of them, but trying to finish the corner and be able to drive up off the bottom and carry the momentum down the straightaway to clear is a difficult thing to do. Look at Connor Jones wrapping right around the bottom. The more traditional line that we ran here on the older surface, but that outside line, man, there's so much speed and momentum off the top. Honeycutt up there trying to make a pass for second, not able to do it, falls back in line.
Meanwhile, Luke Baldwin has opened up about a half second ahead of this battle, with Honeycutt now trying the top lane to see if he could kind of reel Walters back in, as we've got about 6 cars from second back to 7th in a bit of a freight train line here, trying to settle this battle for P2 with Walters still holding it down. And we got a car off the pace on the front straightaway. That is Evan McKnight, one of the Setzer Racing and Development drivers and one of our top 5 contenders in points. Very slow to turn 1. We'll see if he can get it back around.
Still under power, a little bit of smoke coming out from behind the car, able to get it back to pit road. When you look at the rest of the field here, everybody seems to be pretty glued to the bottom of the racetrack. We got a couple of cars that are run the middle or the top of 1 and 2. But everybody seems to run the bottom of the racetrack for the most part. Another battle developing here for second place. Honeycutt trying to take it away. Walters trying to hang on to that second place.
Yeah, 1 and 2. I mean, they're running everywhere. You can see cars that are wrapping all the way down there. They're not that white line. You don't see as many that are coming up to the top. By the way, Evan McKnight was able to make it safely to pit road. His crew's going to work right now, so we stay green, and they're running through some of the area where he was smoking earlier, so no liquid, no oil laid down. So we stay green, but loving the racing that we're seeing and how this track, as it has continued to age, every time we come back, it feels like this track drives brand new, and I'm sure the hot conditions, the age on the racetrack, all that's contributing to it.
Starting to see Connor Jones struggle here a little bit. Christensen to the inside, and then number 50 car. In Case James following them. Case started 6th place.
And just behind Case is Keelan Harvick. We documented the bobble he had in qualifying yesterday. Keelan made light of it in terms of preparing for this race. He's already up a few spots to 9th, and he's looking to the inside of James here to see if he can take over 8th spot.
James got him pitched down to the bottom of the racetrack. James going to wrap the corner and be able to keep the position down the back straightaway.
You know, I had a couple of fans in the grandstands when I was watching truck practice earlier. They were asking me, so when it comes to the car store, where are you going to have to make your moves? And traditionally, I thought that was going to be one.
Caution's on the racetrack. Got a car up in turn 2, stopped up against the wall, number 5.
It's going to be our first caution of the race. That's James Seawright, who we saw come to the pit lane.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, Pike was monitoring the radio. They warned James, it's a long race, just pace yourself. And evidently something else has happened to the 5 car to draw the first yellow of the race.
And again, that reminder, because he was unable to get back in his spot, they got the 1 to go signal. You can see him beckoning. He just wants to be able to get pushed. I believe that car made contact with anything, just kind of came to rest and wasn't going to be able to find a hole to be able to get back down to the bottom to where that pit road entry is in turn 3. This is back up front. This was Luke Baldwin in the 47. 6 cars, Mason Walters, early on battling for the lead. And off at turn 4, yeah, you can see Walters pushing up a little tight, little contact.
Yeah, I think everybody, that looked a lot worse than it was the first time by, but right there, that's just good hard racing. But you can tell the 6 cars trying to finish the throttle, drive the car up off the corner. He can't do that with a 47 there in the outside line. So Baldwin has the position, kind of be able to keep the momentum up, stay in the throttle, beat him down the straightaway. That's just how hard it is to make that inside pass. That inside car trying to get up in the door of the outside car. It's going to happen every time.
And heads-up move by Honeycutt there to get off the throttle enough to not end up in the back bumper of the 6 and make the problem even worse off of 4. So the first caution of the race flies with James Seawright, who is 12th in points. He's had a lot of flashes of brilliance. We're still searching for the first top 10 of the season for the driver of the direct development number 5 out of Winter Haven, Florida. But he has come to a rest in turn number 2. Needs some assistance to get back to the pit area. And also London McKenzie is on the pit lane. He too stopped on the initial pace laps, and they are doing work on that car. And we also just saw the number 90, another driver making his Car Store Pro Late Model debut, of Joe Maruka getting a push to what seems to be either the pit area or the garage area. So tough break for that driver who made the tow down from Slicksville, Pennsylvania. So while many teams go to work on their cars and track cleanup goes to work on this 5/8 of a mile oval, Luke Baldwin, the leader, with 17 laps in the books.